telling me I need to hire for competencies.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know who I need.
Mm-hmm.
I need to know what specifically they need to do.
Mm-hmm.
And
Their job description, sure.
that's right. And I need to figure out how to set them up for success. So,
Mm-hmm.
how about you? Who do you need? What do you need them to do?
Mm-hmm.
And how are you setting them up for success?
Think about that in your business.
Yeah. I make this joke all the time, Ted.
You make a joke?
I know. This is not. We haven't actually done any dad jokes.
I don't know how you wrote the song. Yeah. I worked.
That's a great point.
Oh no.
I mean, it just reminded me though.
Oh no.
It did. It reminded me of the time I attempted to start this hot air balloon company.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, just never got to figure out.
Oh god. Yeah.
Okay.
That's done. Check that off.
So I honestly though, this is a story I tell people consistently. I don't tell people it's a true story though. Like people just think I'm making something up. But as I know you know, and I run a virtual assistant franchise, and so we help other people to align and find virtual assistants for the tasks that they need, inside this job description. And so inside of the interviews that I have with new clients, I always tell them, hey, sometimes you're going to realize that some of the tasks that you need to take off your plate, like you need a bookkeeper that just is helping to input some numbers and making sure your finances are aligned each month. It's kind of the boring work, the stuff that nobody wants to do. But you also want somebody to make client phone calls, right? And traditionally, most bookkeepers are not the people that want to make client phone calls.
Go figure.
They're not the ones that want to do leads in, and they're definitely not the ones that want to sit in sales meetings, right? And often, by the way, your salesperson is not the one that wants to sit down at a computer and key in numbers into your accounting program. They don't want to do the bill collection, and they don't want to make sure that the P&L balances at the end of the month.
It's like the homicide cop that doesn't want to do the paperwork back at the station.
Yeah, exactly that, right? And so, those are really kind of two different sets of tasks and two different sets of job descriptions.
Mm-hmm.
But Jeff, I can only afford one person right now, right? And so a lot of times those tasks get lumped together. And so the comment that I often make is, yeah, but who do you need to work for you? Now, if I need a salesperson, then sometimes that salesperson might have some minor CRM, some minor bookkeeping type of stuff that they need to put into the system. They've got to fill out their expense report, whatever, right? If I need a bookkeeper, well, sometimes a bookkeeper might need to make some client calls, right? They might need to touch in with the client. It's a small part of their job, not one of the main priorities of the job, right? So if we're looking at the 80-20 rule, I've got three major things that I need this person to do. The bookkeeper and the salesperson won't have the same three major priorities, right? I tell that story, but it's a true story.
How so?
I had a bookkeeper. I had a gal that was doing accounting for me. And at one point, my business was not hitting goals. And I realized I had this person that was sitting there that was at a desk all day that had a phone sitting next to her. And, I was like, if we're not hitting our goals by middle of the month, I'm going to need you to start making some phone calls for us. And would you believe, Ted, that she got really stressed out by that? I'm telling you. I know, it's crazy. What was I thinking? Yeah.
All the stretches, job description.
I was thinking I needed to hit my goals. And because of that, I added tasks onto somebody's plate who didn't have the correct competencies and traits to be doing those tasks.
Yeah.
Needless to say, that disengaged her from the job.
Right.
And it wasn't very long before she started looking for another one. Yeah. Great person, did a great job inside of the accounting role, and outside of the accounting role, got really frustrated and became dissatisfied with the job and quit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ties back to the vision conversation. You pivoted, changed the vision for her role,
Yeah.
and she wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet. I mean, seriously. I
Live and
mean,
learn.
we still talk. I mean,
Good.
she forgave me, but I recently did like a little Facebook quiz, like, where I just said, "Hey, who's your favorite boss ever and why?" And I was not.
Definitely done that too.
I was not the favorite boss. Anyway,
You knew.
she did.
Being honest.
Moving on. Moving on. What about you?
We all made these faux pas. I'll take it back to the solar world. I think early on in that environment, it's lead generation. You're in store. You're talking to so many people, and again, for competencies, I just got it wrong. I got into the wrong train of thought in terms of what the correct competencies were. You believe that?
Yeah, I can because it's a complicated world.
So, what do you think the top? I won't ask you because you already know these answers. But in any role, there's going to be a top 2 or 3 competencies that are just going to win in that role.
Mm-hmm.
And in my experience, you've got to ace those. You got to take that. And so, unfortunately, early on in this particular scenario, I was focused on its lead generation. Communication would make a lot of sense to me. Got to have the gift for gab, right?
Yeah.
And then it's solar in the environmental space, mission, purpose, like that. Just sounded like you have to have the elements, right? Something that you really have to embrace. And so in my early, venture into it, I really aligned around competencies of communication and then them being able to align to the vision, mission, where we're going with this thing. And that is not a competency in terms of mission.
Yeah.
So,
I was thinking that
and
when
I
you said it.
split that as a
Yeah.
competency.
Yeah.
So it's important to understand what is a competency and what is not a competency.
Yeah.
And it's hugely important to hone in on the most crucial competencies to be successful in a role.
I'm glad you said it because I would have to say off camera, like, was it a cut?
Exactly.
Why are we talking?
And that's exactly how I got into that predicament. And that's why I'm bringing this up. You've got to ace that. You've got to know what is and what is not a competency. And so we're talking about demonstrable, repeatable behaviors that can be coached typically.
Yeah.
Some things are intrinsic, right?
Yeah.
But most things can be coached.
Yeah.
And there's a little bit of a debate you can have around competencies, what's intrinsic, what's natural versus what's developed.
Yeah.
You can definitely have that conversation. But the majority of them are coachable, are buildable. You can construct yourself, you can elevate yourself within competencies. And so what I found out is just because you have the gift of gab and the task is to go into, a big box retail store and speak to 2,000 plus people a week, so 100,000 people a year and beyond, that wasn't necessarily the winning competency set. And so over and over, the teams quit. These individuals, guys and gals, quit and rolled out. And I couldn't understand why, because I thought I'd aced this. I had this right. You're mission aligned, you're value driven, you want to be a part of this.
They want to talk to people.
You love talking to people. I'm like, I got this. And in the end, I got my tail handed to me. Why? Because they didn't have the resilience to deal with all the no's. They couldn't stand the rejection.
They love talking to people who didn't like to get rejected.
Right. And they thought everyone was going to love to hear what they had to say.
Because they're aligned with the mission. Yeah.
But that's not the case.
Not everybody cares about solar.
That's right. And so you deal with now, 90 some thousand no's and a sparse sprinkling of yeses, and people got in their feelings, and unfortunately they just couldn't push through that.
Yeah.
And so I came to understand that resilience, the competency of resilience, being able to drive through the negativity, really align with, what you're doing and why you're doing it, and focus yourself through it, was more important than per se communication.
Yeah.
I also learned that there are subsets of competencies. Communication is a great gift, but if you're just talking to talk, that's not a winning strategy.
Yeah.
And so you have to be a persuasive communicator, which, believe it or not, to actually move this along in the store. And so then I realized not only is it a competency, but sometimes there's sub-competencies that you have to figure out. Can they have this? Can they do that?
Yeah. Which brings you to the how do you suss out those competencies inside of the interview, right? Which I think is pretty interesting. I mean, I could talk all day about interview questions.
Yep.
And in fact, I do. That's a workshop we sell, right? And so inside of that, like, you were talking about the vision and the mission, and traditionally, over the years, Really easy way to figure out if they align with your vision and your mission is just to tell them your vision or your mission statement and ask them what those words mean to them. Right now, we can see if they're aligned. And in competencies, though, you said this here too, demonstrable. Right?
Demonstrable.
Like,
Yes.
can this be demonstrated? Do they have evidence of having done this work and been successful at it?
I love it that you said that, Jeff, because everyone's going to tell you they can do it. It's the Mike Tyson. Everyone's got a plan until you get punched in the face.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so if I were to ask you, if you wanted this job, Jeff, and I asked you, hey, do you think you'd be okay talking to 100,000 people over the course of this year?
Yeah.
You're most likely going to say to me what?
Well, yeah, of course, Ted. I'm super excited about this. I can't wait to tell more people about solar and
Easy peasy.
moving to sustainable energy.
Exactly right.
Yeah, let's do it.
And so what you come to learn, unfortunately, is these competencies are not anything that someone can tell you they possess.
Yeah. Yeah, sure.
Right?
Makes a ton of sense.
It's prior behavior predicts future performance, right?
Yeah.
And that's what you come to see here. So to your point of how do you suss it out? You suss it out through great interview questions.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Now, what gets me here is that, to your point, not only can the candidate not always figure out what competencies are necessary to be successful, oddly enough, a lot of times the leaders can't either.
That's right.
One of my favorites, you've taken this assessment. I've taken it through 3 different companies, but one of my favorite assessments that exists out there, and one that we use and teach inside of our interview workshop, is has a list of all the different jobs that are out there, right? And what traits and competencies fit into those jobs. It'll rank people on a scale on, left to right, and they mean different things. So it could be either cynical or optimistic, right? And oddly enough, and this is one of the things I tell people all the time, too optimistic is not always a good thing.
Right.
And too cynical is not always a bad thing. Usually you would think pessimist cynicism, that's a horrible thing to have, but no, a good black hat that thinks that not everything is going to be handed to them is not always a bad thing, right? But it's important to understand how that trait is going to affect their job performance, right? Some of the jobs are going to have competencies and traits that are much higher of an impact inside of that role. Some jobs, their medium impact traits are going to be a higher matching competency or trait for another job, right? And so to understand which competencies are important for which role, and where they need to be on that spectrum, and then what questions you can ask to show past performance, to indicate future results, right? Because nothing on an assessment is going to show you resilience.
Right.
You can't figure out if somebody's tenacious because they scored well on an assessment. Their drive is not accessible.
And they'll tell
outside
you,
of interview questions.
Tell you anything.
Yeah, sure. An excited answer always sounds like a great answer.
Right.
Yeah.
But you do also have people in play, perhaps. Maybe you already have people that perform at a very high level, or other teams. Maybe they're not part of your network or your team, but you can look in and see what good looks like or what great looks like elsewhere.
Yeah, I love that.
The trick there is not to try to replicate the person.
Yeah.
I think we've all been guilty of that, right?
Yeah.
Okay, this is the model person. Hey, do you have a brother? Do you have a sister? Let's get you more of
That's how the whole family. Darn it,
right?
only 3 of you.
Everyone should look like this and behave like this.
I hired my whole family before, so I get that.
You're guilty. You're guilty, right? But the trick therein is to figure out what competencies is this person demonstrating, right? That is replicable.
Yeah.
Right? What are the core competencies that make him or her so successful? Clearly identify them. And then how, to your point, do I go and figure out if the next person has those?
Yeah. And what's super exciting to me about that is if you found one person that has the competencies, the traits, the recipe for success, then we know something super important. We know that unicorns exist.
Right. If it's been done once, it can be done again.
Yeah. If the unicorn exists, I could find the unicorn. Right. I just need to know what questions to ask in order to figure it out.
You've got to know what good looks like to solve for it. Can't write the questions if we don't know what we're looking for in the end result.
That's right. So we're going to align on a vision to make sure that the people are going where we want them to go, and they want to go where we want to go. We're going to hire based on correct competencies for role. Who do we need? What tasks do they need to complete? And how do we know they'll be good at it? And once we've got the right people hired and ready to move forward with us, so now we got to start.
Imagine that.
Yeah. Every single week, and this might be because it's what we do, but every single week, I have somebody telling me about a horrible onboarding experience. They started a new job.
Oh man.
And you know, I some of these stories I just can't even share. Like I haven't gotten permission to share, so I won't even share all of them. But they started a new job and they walk in, and it's as if they weren't even expected to be there that day.
Yeah.
Right.
I've been there.
Yeah. The worst hiring story ever. And I apologize to anybody watching this that happened to have been there that day. I won't say your names.
Right.
I showed up at a building one time. And you know what? I'll try to be as obscure as possible. I showed up in a building one time for my first day. I wanted just to be early, especially if there might be traffic involved. And anybody that lives in the Baltimore, D.C. area understands there's always traffic involved.
Oh, yeah.
So I was there an hour before I was supposed to show up, and I just had a little book to read in the car. And so, reading the book, and this delivery truck pulls up. Parking lot's really small. Delivery truck pulls up in front of all the customer parking spots, and I'm like, oh, like, there's not a whole lot of time before the store's supposed to open, and that delivery truck's just sitting there. And nobody comes out to greet it. I'm like, oh, there's a chance nobody's here. I wonder if they knew this truck was coming today. And opening time comes and goes, and the door is still locked. There's now a crowd of people waiting to get into this building with a delivery truck in the parking lot and no place for customers to park. And then all of a sudden, this person shows up, goes scurrying in, literally doing the whole hair pulling thing, pulling their hair out, like can't believe that there's a truck and that the store's not open. Shows up 10, 15 minutes after the store was supposed to open and runs in. I follow in and a little scared to follow in, to be honest with you. And this manager looks at me and says, "Hey, are you forklift certified? Can you unload the truck?" And I'm like, what? Yeah, I get this yard man from down the parking lot, pulling all the way through with all these cars around. And I didn't do it. No, I didn't do it. I looked at him and I said, heck no, like I can't do that. What are you talking about? I understand. Wow. He's like, oh, well, I'm gonna need you to run the sales floor because nobody else is here. I'm like, what? I haven't even filled out my paperwork yet. Are you serious? And he's like, yeah, sorry, dude. And I just said he. I'm sorry. Maybe I edited that out. He goes right out. He goes through the truck. I make my first sale in the first 10 minutes on the floor. And I had to call another location to walk me through their POS system, the register system, to actually ring it up because it was all like slash commands. I didn't. Nothing that day, that whole day, looked anything like what a first day should look like in terms of getting all the right paperwork done, aligning people on the vision and the mission and the story of the company. And, none of that stuff, like throughout the whole time, by the way, the rest of the day was just as crazy. It didn't get any better. I think it took me 3 or 4 days to even fill out my I-9. Don't tell the federal government, right? That's not a welcoming feeling. Like I literally looked at my wife that night and said, I'm not really sure what I got myself into. I ended up being very, very successful in that company. And
they lucked out in the hire that you pushed through that.
Yeah, I ended up running the store. Right. And we did some crazy things there. But if not for the first day, things could have gone really different. Other people wouldn't have come back on the second day.
I love that story. That's insane. And I won't belabor you with a long one, but one of my early jobs was very similar to that. It was just a summer job, and it was at a deli. and I showed up. They told me to show up Saturday at 10 o'clock. The deli opened at like 6 in the morning. They've been rolling. I walked in, the staff was already, flying, and no one knew that I was supposed to be there. The owner wasn't there to greet
First
me.
day on the Saturday.
First day, they handed me an apron. They said, come on behind the counter. And as the orders came in, they started throwing stuff to me. They put me on the microwave, and I was supposed to be making the egg sandwiches. And so I had no idea what was going on with anything. So I'm looking at the menu up top. I'm whipping things up. People are breathing down my neck. I'm just microwaving just anything that I can get and throwing it back out and waiting to see who's going to complain about it. It was not good. Not good. To your point, no paperwork, nothing. I had no idea what was going on. I was covered in sweat and just ready to go home by lunchtime.
They paid you an under.
Yes. Horrible experience.
Alternatively,
Yeah.
Y'all can find this gentleman on Instagram, Haro Session, Setian. He told me a story about how he welcomes his winners in his business.
Really?
And on a new hire's first day, when they walk in, there's a balloon arch. There's the whole company standing at the front door.
Wow.
And cheering the new hires on their orientation day as they walk in.
Yeah.
They have an outline system. They have an orientation where a manager is working with the new hires throughout their whole first day. There's no watch this video and I'll come back in 15 minutes. If there's a video to be watched, the video is being watched with the leaders in the company.
Yeah.
Right. The owner of the business comes in and gives a vision talk inside of the business, right? Like this isn't always possible. You work for a really large company, you've got 15,000 people across 50 states. The owner's not coming in to talk to you. I get that. And somebody should still be giving a vision talk, right? Like somebody is there hand-holding and taking people through an experience. Haro loves to like they're intentional about their orientation day. It's not like an every Monday thing, middle of the day, Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
It's planned and they bring together a group of new hires to go through this orientation experience, right? Like how do we welcome our winners on their first day? Because if we've gone through the process, Ted, of figuring out what our vision is, finding people that are aligned with our vision, hiring people to their competencies, and then give them a crappy first day and a lousy training experience, are we setting them up for success?
No. And all the time and effort and expense that you've put into it and anticipation of this amazing hire, and then to drop the ball, to fumble it, to let them down, to let your team down, the store down, your business down. It's nonsensical.
Yeah.
It doesn't make any sense.
If you're hiring the right person, you've probably gone through 3 or 4 sets of interviews, to at least a phone screen, a first interview, a second interview to be sure, and then the offer conversation.
Mm-hmm.
You spent hours talking to those people, not to mention the hours and hours you spent going through resumes to get to those people. And then just to lose it all in one day of work.
I love to think of it kind of like, the old game when you put the spoon in your mouth and you carry the egg across the field, right?
Yeah.
It's
I'm not very good at that.
I can imagine that would be a challenge for you, as excitable and as crazy as you
get.
Very patient with it. But it's like that. It's like you've got this egg, you've got this delicate egg in the new hire, and everything that comes in is being felt, right? Every sensation, nuance when they walk in that building, they have their own expectations, their own emotions. So much is happening. They're fragile like an egg.
Yeah.
And you're bringing them into your business. So you're holding that egg, right? And your job is to make sure that egg goes all the way through this process uncracked, unstained, unblemished, and gets delivered to the other side so that it can obviously crack open, flourish, and go on.
Yeah.
And then so many times we drop the egg, we drop the spoon, we fall face down in the grass in this relay, right?
Yeah.
It just happens. And so you have to look at it with that level, right, of importance, to your point, and understanding everything that took to get to that point, to curate the experience for that person as if you were carrying that egg from A to B. It really is that important.
Well, I love that. They give me some tingles.
Mm,
Honestly, because it shows them from day one that they're valued,
yes.
right? And John C. Maxwell wrote a book last year about high road leadership. If y'all haven't read it, read it. Um, the first way that as leaders we can groom and build successful team members is to just show them that they're valuable,
Hmm.
right? And treat other people with value, and good things can be groomed in them. When people don't think they're valuable, they they good things don't happen,
Right.
right? And I'm not even just talking about self confidence, right? But valuable inside of a company. If they don't feel respected
Yeah.
inside of the company, they don't feel valued inside of the company, they become disengaged, right? Which takes us back to those weekly conversations. But a disengaged person that doesn't feel valued tends to seek value in other ways. And by the way, number one loss for companies tends to come from internal employees,
Mm,
right?
very true.
Because when you don't feel valued, sometimes you look to increase your value in unfortunately dishonest ways inside of a business.
Yeah. You can almost rationalize it.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not being treated well. They're not showing me what I'm worth. I'm gonna take a little here, take a little there because I'm not being given what I need to succeed. And I'm not saying it's our fault, but it does start with us,
Right.
right? Like an honest person is never going to steal. A dishonest person or somebody that feels undervalued. If you give them the right opportunity, they're gonna take something. Um, and interestingly enough, those same people, if you're giving them plenty of opportunities to do amazing things, they're never going to feel the need to do that. So,
Right.
so again, it kind of starts with us. Um, so if I'm setting the right expectation in the interview,
Mhm.
I'm hiring the right person, creating an amazing onboarding experience, and setting the right expectation in the onboarding and inside of the training, and having them do, one-to-one style training,
Mhm.
to give them an opportunity to flourish. I'm giving them everything that they need to do to succeed.
Yep.
How are we following up on that and holding them accountable to their success?
Great question. Clear metrics, numbers, right?
Yeah.
Goals, and then checkpoints, right?
Okay.
Touching base, making sure that they understand how that they can control that, and control themselves and their outcome.
Yeah.
Within those parameters.
It kind of looks like some accountability conversations.
Sure.
Scheduled.
Right.
Yeah.
And even to celebrate successes, both ends of that. We just want to see what's happening and how we continue to help them move through the funnel.
Yeah. I think we should talk some more about that.
Guess we're going to do another one.
Yeah, next video.
Let's do it.